Welcoming everybody back into another episode of the Scuffle Show. We have new rules. We have new standings. Nick, welcome.
Thank you, Buster. I decided to show up. I think when we get into the results from last week, we'll understand why we're missing one person who's a little leery jumping in today, but I think she'll come around. But new rules, standings getting tight, streaks are ending, confidence is wavering, I think, at the top a little bit. So it's going to be this is interesting, and a new rule, the Buster rule, about to be implemented.
So the rule that I came up with, maybe because I'm behind a few points, the score is 55, Tatiana, Nick is 40, and I have 35. But this new rule could allow a little bit more fluctuation, and that's because we can now bet up to 5 points on each or any individual fight. And if you get that fight right, you get double the points you bet in addition to the points you would get naturally. If you lose however many points you bet up to 5.
Wait, so we can do this for all the fights or just one per week?
We each get to do for one per week, but it can be any fight, obviously.
Got it. All right. Well, I'd like to go back to last week, and I would like to double my bet on Peter Yan. Does that? I mean, Tatiana's not here. We could just say that we had a.
We both.
And she probably does not remember exactly what happened last week on the show. So we could.
She probably won't watch to find out what we did.
No, so let's do an experiment. Brett, we're going to adjust the standings based on the assumption that Buster and I last week both bet an extra 5 points on Peter Yan. So
this is that collusion that you were talking about, being worried.
Yeah. Hey, you're late.
That would go on behind your back.
What's the equivalent of you lose, you snooze for you're late? You're late and
you hate.
I don't know.
You're late.
You hate. So the standings. Last week, Buster went 3-0, earned 10 points. I went 2-1, earned 5 points. Tatiana, the once unbeatable opponent of ours, went 1-2 and earned 0 points. So the gap is closing. Now with our experiment to see if she's paying attention to this week's show, it's closed even more. Buster and I had Yan against Sandhagen. Tatiana had Sandhagen. Buster had Scher, the lone one to predict the new champion. And we all hit our alternate picks. Buster had Ankalaev. I had Islam Makhachev. Tatiana had Khamzat Chimaev. So the current standings.
I think that's pretty impressive that we all got our random fight picks correct.
Yeah. It shows that we're probably all better doing what we want to do instead of what we're told to do. So there's a lesson in there somewhere. But with Danny, so Tatiana jumps on. Right now, if we don't retroactively change last week, Tatiana has 55 points. I have 40 points. You have 35 points.
With the change, should we make Tatiana last or what? What do we?
Yeah, make it super dramatic. Why don't we just flip the points upside down?
What is the over under on points that we can change to where she'll say something?
Why don't we give ourselves 10 points extra each? So Tatiana will still be in first place. So she'll have 55. I'll have 50. You'll have 45. So we'll all be one good week away from first place.
Here we go.
Or we could, you know what? Or we could make ourselves both. We could say we're all tied. We could do that. Why don't we just tell her that after last week? After last week, we're all tied. This is unbelievable, Tatiana. After last week, we've all got 55 points. She's gonna be like, what?
She's gonna be like, how did you guys do that?
Yeah. So we're tied. As far as we know, we're all tied. If Tatiana listens to this or is alerted and goes back and does some research, figures out what the standings should be, then we'll revert. But until that point, we're all tied at 55. And just like in a game, if we get the next playoff, if we get next week's show off, it's too late for her to retroactively go back. You can't call a penalty on the previous play. So
no play reviews after that.
So we are.
Tatiana?
I don't think so. It said
Tatiana
it was
is Apple watching into the show on this
yeah.
week's episode.
Yeah, she's like, last week she was here twice. This week she's not here.
I didn't realize, by the way, how expensive UFC tickets are. Like, especially, I think I'm gonna go this Saturday at the Garden. I mean, they're 5 times as expensive as for a Knicks game.
No, it's crazy. You know what we need to do? We need to see if we know anyone on the UFC roster that could get you in potentially. What we should get you in on a press pass. You should be there doing interviews for the Scuffle show. I mean, that may not be how you want to spend the time, but I think that would be pretty cool.
That would be so much fun. I'll film
So do we
for the Scuffle show?
Do we ask for a favor after cheating on the standings? Or, I mean, is that too much for 1 week? Should we ask for the favor first?
So
and
you're
then
losing,
based on the answer.
and I need a press pass.
Why don't we ask for the favor based on her response, then tell her what the scores are? So if she says something along the lines of yes, or I think I can make that happen, then we'll go back to the original scores. If she says, I don't know, Buster.
How much leeway do you think fighters have with press, though?
Not really any. I think there's a window where fighters, and I'm not even sure if it has to be fighters on the card, can request extra tickets for friends and family to purchase. But I don't think, I don't know, maybe it's the first. Maybe this is the first time someone's asked for a press pass.
We got to call Dana. Get him on. We got to get him on the Scuffle show. But then after that,
put him on the spot, ask for a press pass.
Hey, Dana, I wanted to invite you on the show just to ask for a press pass. That is all I want. You can leave after this.
Yeah.
No, the Usman fight's going to be big. I mean, I'm glad it's at the Garden because it's better when there is a big name in it, obviously, because it gets non-casuals into the arena. Or it gets people who are just casuals as well. So it's gonna
be a grudge match. A grudge match is always good, and it's fun as a fan. Fun as a root for someone or against someone, and whether or not you're rooting for Usman, like Usman, I'm going to be rooting for him. I feel like everyone's either going to be rooting for Usman or against Covington, or a combination of both, which is where I'll be.
Is anybody rooting for Covington? Maybe Donald Trump. Is he a Trump guy? I haven't looked into his background.
He's a Trump guy. I think he usually invites Trump's son to the fight, or Trump. I think during the
I know Trump's been in the UFC.
I think I don't know if it's just for a photo shoot, but Covington, I think, has said that he's Trump's favorite fighter. Maybe. I have no idea.
I feel like Trump would be Trump's favorite fighter.
Wait a minute, Buster. We don't have Tatiana here. The first 2 picks, we could pick. Let's take this pick right now. What do you got, right. Usman or Covington?
I got Usman, and I'm betting 5 points on it.
All right, I got Usman too. So Tatiana, you have Colby Covington.
All
right.
Go. This is what happens when you sleep through the Scuffle show.
This is absolute punishment. She's probably doing something like some rehab or some kind of, important appointment.
I think she's asleep. I think she's having a nap.
It's possible.
And I'm betting 2 points on it. I'm just kidding.
All right. If she says she was asleep, 2 points. I think there's a slight chance that none of her devices are charged, which I'll bet 1 point on that.
Okay. We're just betting. We're going to show up next week with 0 points.
Yeah. All right. Rose Namajunas.
Here, I have to pull that up. Yeah.
I never know how to pronounce Zhang Weili, the former champion who looked unstoppable and then ran into Rose.
It's pronounced Weili.
I think so, yeah. I never actually realized until we did this show how many names I hear all the time, and then never actually registered how to pronounce them.
Whaley
But this should
Zhang,
be
21-2. I mean, I've seen
She
Rose
looked-
fight before though.
well, she looked like she was gonna be the dominant champion, and then Rose just had her number last time. I'm gonna go with you can go first again, Buster. You're
gonna go
3-0
with,
last week.
I'm gonna go with Zhang.
That's who I'm going with also. Nobody's taking the champion. So we're gonna give Tatiana the chance. All right, that's it. Tatiana's got Rose. We might regret this. I don't think we're gonna regret the Usman Covington fight at all. This one, we might wonder what we were doing, but I'm gonna just
What would be interesting?
I'm gonna say we're going this way.
If you really weren't confident in a pick, you could hedge your bets and bet 1 point on the person you didn't place your bet for, so that you null it. Although
that's legal.
it's not really in your best interest because you don't lose for making a normal pick.
True. I just think Rose is amazing, but historically, I feel like she's up and then down and then the comeback and then down and the comeback. So I think that's
11-4. So obviously,
well, yeah, more than wins one, loses one. But I think
exactly
recently, I think that continues this week.
She beat Zhang in the first round, so obviously it wasn't a long-lasted, better mechanical fight.
Yeah, no, she was
round 3. She's only fought twice since 2019, and that was.
She comes in, yeah. When she comes in focused and in the right mindset, she's unbelievable. And she's been the first to admit that at times she can, kind of get just a little distracted or lose the motivation, or
she's only
not quite mentally there.
Since May 11, 2019, twice. This will be her third fight in those 2.5 years.
Well, we're giving her to Tatiana. So Tatiana, by not being here, has got a champion, which she probably would have said she couldn't pick this anyway. So I think this worked out exactly the same way that it would have if she was here. Next fight, Justin Gaethje against Michael Chandler. This is a tough one. Both are going to go in there and just throw haymakers.
I like Gaethje. I like watching him fight. I need to look at his last.
I do too. Chandler.
His last fight was against Khabib.
Yeah, it's looking incredible until that fight. And obviously Khabib stops a lot of.
Yeah, I mean.
Stop everyone's momentum. Chandler came in last time. Yeah, Chandler made his debut, just got a big knockout, but then lost to Oliveira in a crazy fight.
I'd love to see Khabib come back. He's more famous now than when he was fighting.
Yeah.
By a mile, which is kind of crazy. It's like the Jordan effect. When Michael Jordan decided to stop playing, all of a sudden everybody cares even more than they did before.
I don't think he's coming back. I think Islam's going to be he's got his heir, and he's, training him, and he wants him to be the champion and keep it on the team. But it would be crazy to see him come back, but that'd be hard. I think after this much time off.
Did Khabib retire before he retired? Did he have multiple retirements?
No, he said he was going to be 30-0. He promised his dad had laid out a goal for him to be 30-0. His dad passed away. He was at 29, and he also promised his mom that he would stop fighting, and kind of take on the role of the within the overall family, kind of that his father had taken. So he said he was going to hang it up because he made a promise to his mom. And so I think that just he's embraced kind of coaching and his other, business and speaking and traveling a lot. He said, I think he said, like, one, that was it. And two, the idea of going back and grinding every day. He just doesn't have it in himself at the moment. So
yeah, I've heard him say, just that it's very final. He doesn't seem like the type of guy to go back on his word.
No. And also, like DC said once, he said, Khabib told him, like, in Dagestan, he doesn't need endless money. He could live very well and help a lot of people with the amount of money he's already made. So money wasn't a reason to do it. And he's not about the limelight. So, I think a lot of guys, it's hard for them to step out of the limelight with obviously stepping away from competition. But it sounds like he has other interests. So it's not like he was singular focus was competition.
Right.
And then he doesn't strive to be in the limelight. So he doesn't miss that. And then doesn't need the money. So you put those three things together, there's probably a lot of things that are more fun to do than beat yourself up on a daily basis, trying to get shape and going out there and fighting.
Especially when you have the opportunity to go out on top, which he did.
Secure your legacy.
And very few people are able to do that. Most guys are carried off or beaten off in this case.
And also not one of those guys that picked it up late. Like he'd been fighting his whole life, right? So he's been training and fighting since he did. So sometimes people go, oh, your career only lasted X years, but it's like, no, I've been fighting for, been fighting since, there's those videos of him grappling with a bear when he's a little boy. So he's been competing one way or another for a long time. Who we got? Go ahead.
Here, let me make the pick first. I've got Gaethje. I don't think it takes anything away from him. I mean, he's apart from the Khabib fight, which nobody's won that. He beat Tony Ferguson in May of last year. Then he beat Cerrone in September of 2019, beat Barboza in March of 2019, beat James Vick before that, and then lost to Dustin in April of 2018. That's his last non-Khabib loss. I've got Gaethje.
Yeah, I'm torn on this one. Chandler, obviously was one of the best in the world outside the UFC. Came in the UFC and has looked really good so far. I think I want Gaethje to win. But this is where if Tatiana was here, I would just let her pick and I just end up with whoever I ended up with.
No freebies on this week's episode.
You know what? If we're teaming up on Tatiana here, then I guess I got Gaethje as well. So she's got Chandler. We're going against her in all three fights.
There we go. Hopefully
at the end of this, we'll be separated. We'll be tied for first place in these new standings. Tatiana will be below in second.
You didn't bet any this week, though, did you?
Wait, did you?
I did. 5 on.
Okay. So the betting, regardless if you pick the favorite or the underdog, just add points and then you get 1x those points.
Yep.
All right, I'll go Usman as well. So we'll be completely.
Are you
tied.
betting 5?
5, yeah.
That's
Is that
a
the
big
max?
bet. All right, here we go.
Is 5 the max?
Yep.
All right.
Until we make it not the max.
So what do you have? 5 as well?
Yeah, I mean, I bet 5. Yeah.
Well, so, what do we do here?
So theoretically, we could win 15 points each this week if we got all the picks right and the double.
Well, because what would happen if we tied for first? We wouldn't each get 10, right? Would we split them, or would we'd get half each?
No, we would.
Would each get 10?
It doesn't matter. Oh yeah, that's a good question. I don't know.
Brett, how does that work? If we tie for first place, do we each get 10 points, or do we have to split it?
He said split the points, so we'd get
5 each.
12.5 total.
So as long as assuming we're all tied, as long as we both get the Usman bet right, there's no way we can be behind Tatiana. Actually, that's not true. She can get 10.
Yeah. You mean with our score changes or without?
Yeah, with our score changes. Assuming she doesn't get you the press pass, the score changes remain intact.
That's what we're gonna hang it. We're gonna.
She has no idea that she's
been cheated.
Yeah.
She's been cheated.
She's competitive, so her 2-week cold streak probably feels like 10 weeks to her. So she probably is assuming she's given up her whole lead.
The other thing I was gonna say is like, of guys going out on top. Imagine if like Connor had all the opportunities in the world to go out on top.
Or at least or gracefully.
Imagine if he stopped after he fought Floyd.
Yeah, but even by the time he fought Floyd, he wasn't on top. I mean, he was, he hadn't been the champion for a while.
But like
Um,
public facing,
yeah,
like
Connor,
on top of the world.
Connor, obviously incredible streak he went on, and also captured the public's imagination in a way that kind of like put him in a category where people assumed if he wasn't the champion, he was still the best. And the way he did that really was win a belt, don't defend it. Like, so he won the featherweight belt and then he never defended it. And then he won the lightweight belt, never defended it, and was on a mission to the next one, which was frustrating for fight fans in the division, because it's like, there's a lot of people who say in the UFC, you're not a true champion until you've defended your belt once, because you've never walked into the cage as the champion, right? But I think for him, it was like, in hindsight, I would assume it was, I'm the champion of the division now. I don't need to fight in that division again, because I can always say I was the champion, and then go on to the next thing, go on to the next thing. And then I think it sounded like he got to the point where, obviously he gets distracted outside the octagon at times and loses his focus. And then he had this plan to come back and try to get that 170 or 155. But I think the talent had moved on, and he was no longer the best in the world. He also was fighting in divisions where he no longer had size advantage, because even through his lightweight run or his featherweight run, he had a big size advantage in most of those fights, and stylistically had a good matchup. So I think it just became hard. So yeah, money wise, but I think at this point he probably just looks at it as, hey, I don't even know what it is, $10-20 million every time I fight. Why not just fight? And still, I think if you walk down the street and you ask 20 people, not 20 people, X amount of random people, who's the UFC champion, a good percentage of them would say McGregor. So I think it's it's crazy.
That would be a fantastic Scuffle Show survey. Just random people in the street. Who is
the champion?
Who's the face? Or who's the champion of the UFC? Don't even mention weight class, because most people probably don't even know that's a thing. The Irish guy.
Yeah, you should. Maybe that's what you do in New York. Get outside the arena and say, "Is Conor McGregor the champion?" See what they say.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'll do. It should be fun though. The MSG crowd is insane, as you know, and definitely gets excited for fights. Well, I don't think we're getting Tatiana this week, so we have our picks in.
We have our picks. We have our
points. We definitely have our points. That's for sure.
We're not really cheating, because we are leaving it up to her. If she's thorough, if she listens to this, to see how we did without her.
If she ever figures it out, it was a penalty for not showing up.
A penalty for not showing up, and a test of if you were curious how the show went without you.
A fortitude test.
You deserve a penalty. We should all be tied. You've given up your lead.
It'll cost her one NFT.
Exactly. Yeah, we didn't get an NFT this week. I guess anyone who is disappointed that they got to the end of the show with no Tatiana, one, there's nothing we can do about it. Two, go ahead, ask a question. Send us a question on social, or get in the Vover app, ask a question, and we will make sure that it's a Tatiana bonanza next week. Any questions you have, any questions you ask, she will answer. So
that sounds like that sounds like a fantastic plan. No matter how crazy the question is, she has to answer it.
In fact, next week, maybe the fair thing to do is Tatiana's show of one. We just don't show up, and she just has to give a monologue. And Brett tells her the show's been extended to an hour and a half, and she just goes. We'll just text in some questions and she can answer. In fact, that's what we will do next week. Next week, we will text Tatiana. She will be the only one speaking.
Oh,
she will
my
just have
God. That would
go
be
solo.
a disaster.
What's actually probably going to happen is, as soon as we hang up, she's going to say, "Hey, you guys ready? We'll do the show." And then we'll have a dilemma of what to say. Oh, we already did the show.
We can just send her the Dropbox link to the show.
Yeah, that's true. So, all right, Buster, this was fun. I think we had some riveting breakdown of fight strategy. I think we had, I think that This show is unmatched as far as the insights we give you into the life
As we know, champion
of a
the
prize
UFC,
fighter.
Connor and Khabib.
So, all right, that was fun. There's no Tatiana to ask me the outro, so I will refuse to do it. I'm not going to do it, Buster. Take it away.
This is Tatiana here. Buy my NFT. Follow at Vover Audio on socials, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.